We played with a Ouija board and contacted a dead relative and something else. I was about 17 to 18, a senior in high school, and I always hung out with my sister, 5 years older than me, and her friends. The night it was us siblings, her best friend H, who is the same age as my sister, and our friend G, who was about 20 and enlisted in the army. We thought it would be a great idea since it was close to Halloween to play with a Ouija board for the first time together. We got a Ouija board and decided to turn all the lights off in the house and light a few candles to really set the mood. So we sat in the floor of the living room and started our little game. I was sitting between H and G and across from my sister. It took a while, but we finally got a response when G asked if anyone was there. The planchette slid to yes. We kinda giggled because we thought one of us was responsible. But then it started spelling out. M-A-W, M-A-W. My sister and I immediately go pale and make eye contact across the board. Our grandmother had passed away next door about a year prior to this. Before we could ask another question, the planchette spelled out the word love. We still weren't convinced. A little spooked but not scared. G then asked the board.
How many children did you have?
And the planchette slid to the number 2, which is the correct number of kids our grandmother had. It's important to know that G and H didn't know much about our grandmother. They came into our lives after our grandmother had passed, so they never met her. The planchette then spelled out the words Roll Tide. Now we live in Alabama and my grandmother was the biggest Alabama football fan. She would watch every game. The Alabama football catchphrase is Roll Tide. My sister and I immediately begin crying because it just seems unreal. And then the planchette starts moving again. This time it's lighting around and going to goodbye. I ask.
Do you want us to stop playing?
And the planchette quickly slides to yes. My sister doesn't want to stop. She asks.
But why? We want to ask more questions.
And the planchette quickly moves across the board to spell out the word bad. This is enough for me. I felt like if this was my mama and she was telling us to stop playing, maybe we should take her advice and stop. She said bad. Does that mean something bad will happen or this is bad? I don't want to find out. But after trying to convince my sister and friends, it does no good. The planchette keeps circling the board and going back to goodbye over and over again. Finally everyone says goodbye because it was clear nothing else was going to be discussed. But then for some reason, I was talked into participating again. This time when something answered us back, the planchette moved across the board even faster, but it was between 2 letters. Z. O. Z. O. Z. O. Z. O. And that's all it would say. I don't know what the others felt because we really didn't talk about it much, but it felt like the room became colder. It was unanimous that we decided to say goodbye. We were shaking. Whatever we spoke with just didn't feel right. My sister and I decided to sleep in the same bed. I remember laying in bed and being huddled together and just looking around the room. Every sound made me jump. I swear I could see dark humanoid figures around the room. Maybe it was paranoia. I did not sleep that night. I kept thinking about how mama or whatever was imitating her said bad. Like it was a warning. My sister ended up getting rid of the board shortly after. I'm not sure what she did with it. I know her and some other friends tried to play with it again in a very old graveyard near our house with graves from back in the 1800s. While they were playing they heard what sounded like footsteps in the woods around the graveyard and what sounded like scraping on one of the headstones. I don't plan on touching another Ouija board again.